My name is Umakai Mohammed. My friends call me Umi. I live on Maple Street. I'm just blessed to live in this beautiful neighborhood of Lefferts Manor. And I grew up over here, so I really have a strong affinity for the neighborhood. Well, it's interesting because the recipe that I'm going to talk about, I learned from a woman from Maple Street that was a friend of the family, and I grew up around her, and she happened to invite me for tea. We called her Aunt Mazella, and she was from Greenwood, South Carolina. This is Aunt Mazella's pound cake. Aunt Mazella had the table lined up with paper bags. And I'm like, Aunt Mazella, what are the paper bags? She says, you have to be organized. So in each bag, one bag she had the flour, and she told me she had already put the baking powder in there. One bag had the sugar, one bag had the eggs. She was just a very organized, meticulous person. And so she blended the Crisco and the sugar together. So she would do that by hand, everything by hand. And I'm sitting here watching all of this. And then she pointed out to me, she went to her cupboard, I remember, and pulled out this red box Swan's cake flour. And she said you had to buy this Swan's cake flour in this red box. And I was struck by how wonderful it was. I mean, everybody makes pound cake, but no one made it like she made it. Her cake made everyone happy. It won so many prizes, and whenever anybody got together to have a chance to eat her cake, it would be the talk of the conversation, Aunt Mazella's cake. Well, in her tradition, that when you go and visit someone, you have something in your hand and you have to use your elbow to ring the bell. And that was Aunt Mazella. She always had to use her elbow to ring the bell because she always had, a pound cake, and it's usually in both hands she's carrying it. And so I started making the cake, and wherever I went, I would make it. And so I've made it in England, I've made it in Anguilla, I've made it in Atlanta, I've made it in Florida, so I give the recipe out easily because it's so easy to make and it's so delicious. When she passed, I was called for the recipe. No one else in the family had the recipe because everybody, I made the cake. A lot of people just depended on her cake. I mean, I learned how to make it, so I was called for the recipe. And in her obituary, her cake was mentioned, Yeah, that was her signature. It really was. She always wanted to add happiness to your life. So what other way to do it with something that she did, so a cake that's so sweet and delicious. You can only be happy after eating it,